Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone. Today is our general meeting for the San Diego Domestic Violence Council. And it's such an honor to have Kathy Zamora and Jackie Baena presenting to us today. They are our fabulous co-chairs for our Teen Dating Violence Committee of the San Diego Domestic Violence Council. And just really thank you to the two of you. You both do such an amazing job leading that committee and being very innovative with the projects that you're doing for the youth around the county. So just on behalf of the council, thank you both for all that you do. And before they get into their presentation, I'm just going to read a quick bio on each of them. So we have Jackie, who's a bilingual community engagement specialist at the nonprofit organization Escondido Education Compact. Jackie is committed to community engagement and the empowerment of youth through meaningful community service opportunities and that promote leadership development and positive community impact. She's also working on a community mobilization project in collaboration with Kathy and members of the Escondido community. And this group is known as Corazones Unidos. It's composed of youth and adult leaders dedicated to making a positive impact in their community by raising awareness and educating the community on how to prevent sexual violence. And then Kathy Zamora is a prevention and community engagement specialist with Center for Community Solutions. She works closely with Jackie, obviously in this role as the co-chair of the Teen Dating Violence from and in their community mobilization project, inviting community leaders to learn how to prevent sexual violence. And just the two of you, like I said, with the events and different activities that you host for youth throughout the county, we thank you. Recently, they hosted a art call out to come up with a new logo for the Teen Dating Violence Committee, and I'm sure you'll both share a little bit more about that. And then they'll also be sharing, as you all know, February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. I did see so many organizations in the DV world posting pictures wearing their orange last week on Tuesday. And that was so amazing to see, just spreading that awareness about a topic that still needs so much attention. And so, sadly, we do have 1 in 10 high school students who do experience physical violence, specifically physical violence from their intimate partner. And I learned this number just in all the social media kind of awareness that I've been reviewing through the council, that 81% of parents still believe that teen dating violence is not an issue. So obviously there's a lot of room still for us to create awareness and make parents realize that this is something hopefully they feel comfortable in talking with their teens about. And if they don't, that we can continue to put out reason explanations and encourage those conversations to happen. So, this is just one platform and one way that we're all doing that together. So thank you everyone for being here, and I will turn it over to Kathy and Jackie.
All right. Thank you so much for that introduction. It was so sweet.
Thank you.
All right. So my name is Kathy Zamora. I work with Center for Community Solutions as a preventionist. So going out into the community, doing workshops, presentations around prevention, specifically like teen dating violence or sexual violence or domestic violence, either for like middle schoolers, high schoolers, and adults. And then alongside work with Jackie here in Escondido, where we recruit high schoolers and adults of our community to talk about this topic, but also create creative solutions and getting more community members more involved.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jackie. I'm the Bilingual Community Engagement Specialist. I work with a nonprofit here in Escondido called Compact. And just like Kathy mentioned, we work really close with a community mobilization project funded by the California Department of Public Health, where we focus on giving our community more information about prevention in teen dating violence and domestic violence and sexual assault. And we are happy to be here.
Just a little bit about the Teen Dating Violence Committee. Y'all know we're a part of the Domestic Violence Council. We have committee members from the Health and Human Services, nonprofits, and education. We have folks from like the San Diego County Office of Education. We have some nurses that work alongside with us. These are just really people of our community in San Diego that just want to learn a little bit more, whether that's the event planning and the events that we throw for teens, or whether that's like brainstorming for these events. What do the teens of San Diego want to see? But it's also providing training or bringing in speakers to this space to empower communities to prevent and intervene teen dating violence in our schools and communities. And that's our current logo right now.
And we do want to extend an invitation for our future meetings. Our meetings tend to happen every third Wednesday. Our next one will be February 18, and they tend to run on Zoom. Hopefully in the future, we probably have one at least in person, so that way we can all mingle with each other and get to know more of one another. But we've only done it through Zoom at the moment. This upcoming meeting will be having a special guest. It's one of Gati's coworkers. Her name's Maritza. Well, she's going to be talking about the trauma on like teen dating violence and what it causes on a teenager and how can we support those teenagers. If you guys are ever interested in participating in any of these meetings, please feel free to reach out to our email down here so that way we can add you to our list. But just like Gati had mentioned, these are just meetings that we have to brainstorm for ideas for important months that we have, like this month, February, and October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We try to do our best to give youth a lot of information when it comes to teen dating violence. And we'll give you more information about the upcoming event in a little bit.
So with February being Teen Dating Violence Prevention Month, I think the topic is so relevant. We're going to talk a little bit about teen dating and why it's important. So I think relationships can begin at an early age, whether that's 10 years old or sometimes even younger. I think also really considering that a lot of these relationships are being influenced, but also work alongside with like social media apps, whether that's like that's how a relationship starts or that's how it kind of evolves is through messaging, sending images, sending reels. There's a lot of like social pressures that are also coming from social medias for teenagers. So these are just some terms that we like to name that may be a way a teenager labels a relationship or the person they're kind of in a relationship with, whether that's currently dating, hung out, or went on a date once. They might say they're talking rather than saying they're in a relationship with a teen. They can say it's complicated or like no labels. It could also be an ex relationship or an ex partnership.
Then we have the definition of teen dating violence, which is very similar to like domestic violence, which is a pattern of violent, coercive, or manipulative behavior seeking power or maintain control over another person in a relationship. And abuse can happen online or in person. With that being said, like these are different forms of violence that can happen, right? We have physical violence, which is one that we really do know about, which is intentional unwanted contact, which is hitting, slapping, biting, and pushing. We have our sexual violence, which is any behavior that pressures to coerce or force someone to do something sexually that they don't want to do. Emotional violence, any language or behavior that seeks to manipulate, control, coerce, cause harm, or cause someone to doubt their perception and ability. We have stalking, which is a series of action that makes you feel afraid, distressed, or in danger, very serious and can escalate over time. And then we have cyber abuse, the use of technology like texting, social media to bully, harass, stalk, and intimidate. So I feel like cyber abuse is something that is happening more and more nowadays since we are now surrounded by a lot of technology, right? And just like Scotty mentioned, I feel like nowadays it's happening at such a young age because kids are not having access to their iPads from school. there's restrictions on those iPads, but now they're getting phones. And then within those phones, there's probably not as much restrictions as the school may have compared to like maybe the parents still have those restrictions. And that opens so many doors for so many like abuses to happen when it comes to a relationship. And it's like really important to have these conversations with our youth, right?
So a little bit about teen dating in San Diego. So this actually comes from the 2023 San Diego Unified School District from their high school youth risk behavior survey. This is something that's available to all of us. So 23.4% reported that they were dating or going out with someone who tried to control them or emotionally hurt them within the past year. 14.6% experienced sexual violence by someone they were dating or going out with during the past year. 9.2% were forced to have sexual intercourse during that past year. So this just shows that this is happening in our community. You know, it's relevant. This is also just maybe a few that maybe felt comfortable to actually say, yes, this is happening to me, right? But I mean, I wish we had the statistics of how many of these students actually feel comfortable to share to another adult or maybe seeked out support. So there's something to just keep in mind when we're speaking about teen dating violence or working in schools, but also working with the clients. Overall, though, like in the United States, it's about 1 in 12 experience physical dating violence, about 1 in 10 experience sexual dating violence. This is statistics for the United States, also available through like CDC. But these are just statistics to also help us understand how relevant it is and why prevention is so important and how we can spark these conversations with amongst other adults or our youth, our teachers or educators to really begin that prevention in our classrooms, in our community.
And these are just some of the warning signs. There's probably way more that we haven't really identified yet, but these are just some of them that we try to share out with our youth and then to our adults that would like to support our youth. So it's like constantly being belittled or put down, right? Like using harsh comments, explosive temper and or extreme mood swings directed at their partner. Maybe because they got upset over something with their parent or their friend, they take it out on their partner. Extreme jealousy or insecurity. So, and then checking cell phone, emails, or social media without permission, possessiveness or tracking locations through technology. We've had this conversation with some of our youth where we actually put up a scenario where we ask the youth, like, if they think sharing a location with their significant other is okay. We've had some youth that kind of say, yes, it's fine, but they responded by saying like, oh, maybe we share our location because we just want to make sure that both of us are safe. But then we've also had some other youth that kind of say, no, I don't think that's okay because I think we should have boundaries. And that's really important that they share that because from the very beginning, you should have set boundaries with your significant other to what you feel and not feel comfortable with sharing. And then making threats and false accusations, right? Accusing them that they cheated and all that stuff, telling someone what they cannot and can do. Everybody is entitled to their own will, right? They should be able to do their own stuff on their own, but also do stuff as partners, isolating from family and friends, love bombing, leaving unwanted items or gifts. And that's just a way of kind of like manipulating in the relationship, like telling them like, oh, I'm going to buy you this if you do this with me, right? Physical infliction, pain, or hurting in any other way, and repeatedly pressuring or forcing someone to have sex. And this just goes back to like different ways of how does teen dating violence happens, right? And these are just some of the signs that we're able to see.
Yeah, definitely. And I think sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes I think there are signs that that may go unnoticed as a teacher or as a parent. So it's important to also just be aware of like non-physical forms of abuse. And I think sometimes the non-physical forms of abuse are the ones that kind of go unnoticed or maybe are not given as much attention, which is also another reason why having presentations for youth on recognizing signs, on understanding what healthy loves looks like could also be really crucial to understand that violence doesn't just come in the form of physical. So we have a list of risk and protective factors for y'all. So risk factors are really characteristics that increase the likelihood of experiencing or perpetuating sexual violence. And then we have like it may or may not be a direct cause, right? So we got gendered-based stereotypes, lack of access to basic needs, family history of conflict and violence, inequitable access to mental and physical health care, inequitable educational resources. When we're talking about prevention, we got to also think about how can we reduce the risk, but also how can we strengthen these protective factors that are like characteristics that may decrease the likelihood of experiencing or perpetuating sexual violence. The idea of connectedness, the idea of safety, whether that's physical safety, like such as clean and green spaces, but also the idea of safety around like being in a classroom. Do you feel safe to talk to your peers? Do you feel seen? Do you feel like you can speak to an adult, whether that's on campus or at home, to share what is going on in your relationship or a friendship? Also, access to equitable and cultural knowledge. That's also another protective factor, is really bringing in tradition, bringing in our culture as a strength and seeing that also as a positive and healthy way of coping. Practice and knowledge about conflict resolution. And so really just embracing conflict resolution, embracing nonviolent communication, healthy conflicts. And also practicing that, because sometimes it may be a little difficult to understand what does a healthy conflict look like. So bringing in these conversations for teens, so we can begin to practice that with our friendships, for our future relationships. Also, youth empowerment, having youth take the lead on things, really giving them leadership skills, leadership spaces where they can really explore and be creative, and also be the owners of like these solutions, because we know that they're the ones experiencing teen dating. Maybe there's things in this presentation that Jackie and I are missing because we're not a teen anymore. So just really bringing in their perspective and their voice, to be able to prevent harm for future generations, and also embracing safe sexuality. And we're going to talk a little bit about what safe sexuality could look like in the classroom as well, or bringing that conversation. So these are just other protective factors that are also really important. Social emotional learning, growth mindset, protective environments at home, community and schools, nurturing parent-child interactions, social, cultural, and spiritual connection. So when we're talking about social emotional learning, it's really bringing in that learning that acknowledges emotions and how that maybe influences our relationships, having conversation on how to navigate our emotions and navigate difficult conversations, where teens can have strong social and emotional skills and are better to manage their stress, better to manage conflicts, which can make their friendships and even their school experience healthier and safer. Growth mindset is really just the idea of resiliency, being able to have hope, being able to believe in oneself. So not only can parents bring that kind of growth mindset for a youth, but also can our educators, our adults on campus. We have protective environments at home and community and schools. For students, this can mean having like a safe home to live in, stable housing, access to resources they need for school and personal growth. Perhaps they have like a space in their home where they're not able to concentrate. Being able to have that stable housing is really crucial for the academic life, for their teen mental health, but also their relationships overall. Nurturing parent and child interactions. When teens feel loved and supported by their adults and their families, that's when they can really have like a higher self-esteem, be able to have these difficult conversations, be vulnerable, practice boundaries in a healthy manner, um, and also just like be open to communicating their genuine feelings without feeling judged, um, without feeling belittled. And then we have social and cultural, spiritual connection. So it's really just about having that sense of connectedness, sense of belonging, that healthy support system. And that really could be any group that shares similar interests, shares a similar background. But it's really a space where a teen can feel like themselves, be their authentic themselves, be vulnerable, be able to connect with others. It really could be anything, whether that's a sport, a club on campus, a cultural group off campus or on campus, a religious group as well, or a faith-based group. I think it's a space where they feel like they can reach out when they need to, but also a space where they can feel and share joy together. And then here we have the California Healthy Youth Act. I'm gonna let Jackie actually share this one.
Yeah, and then we have the California Health Youth Act, which is focusing on like comprehensive sexual health and HIV prevention education is required at least one in middle school and at least one in high school. Must be appropriate and medically accurate, must resect and address the needs of students of all gender and sexuality orientation, and must include information about like HIV, pregnancy, sexual harassment, sexual assault, healthy relationships, and health, human trafficking, as well as local resources for accessing care and students' right to access care. And then it is required to notify parents that their student will receive sexual health and HIV prevention education. Teachers or outside speakers must have training and knowledge of most recent medical accurate research on the topic. And then instructions must be appropriate for students with disability, English learners, students, and of all race and ethics and cultural backgrounds. And this is an act that has been in place for like almost 10 years. And me and Kathy are actually focusing a little bit more on this act just because one of our groups, which is our community mobilization project here in Escondido, they're just trying to see how can we implement more information regarding like teen dating violence within this curriculum, right? Because there's some youth that kind of share like, oh, this is when I do like my health class, it's just sometimes that I do it online and I just skip through the whole stuff and I end up passing my class. So how can we make it more informational? How can we talk about this can be like another protective factor that we use as like a platform so that way we can share resources, share information, how to have protective sex, how to identify like what are some red flags, right? How can we have a conversation with our partner about certain things that are not okay, like setting up our boundaries. But we just wanted to share a little bit about this California Healthy Youth Act, just because it's really important. It can be a protective factor for our youth in the long run.
Yeah, and this year is 10 years of it, and there's been conversation around our school districts in California doing this work. And there's actually an audit that was created where they analyzed, I believe it was 4 high school districts in California, and actually were able to, in their findings, they were actually able to see that the majority of the schools are not really practicing the California Healthy Youth Act. And there's actually no process of like accountability, except that this act exists and this is what it is, and it needs to be inclusive, medically accurate, age appropriate. So it's all really up to like us as a community, as educators, as folks that work in prevention to really bring awareness to this and have conversations with the youth that we talk to. Are they receiving the information, accurate, inclusive education that makes sense to them? Or maybe is their school maybe not really following through with the California Healthy Youth Act? So it's been really interesting to hear from the perspectives of our teens in Escondido, and just being like learning about how well is our school district here in our county following through. I can share a little bit more of the audit at the end of the presentation. I think it's on my computer to share a little bit more resources if that's something that interests you to learn more about.
And then these are just some techniques for intervention, right? These are the 4 Ds. So we have direct, speaking directly to the person who is in the harm or being harmed. So kind of just talking to the person that is being an abuser, being kind of like direct to them, being like, hey, like, why are you harming this person? Or asking the person that is being harmed, hey, like, are you okay? So like, for example, it says here, you might ask the person being harmed, I saw what happened, are you okay? Or you tell the person doing the harm, that isn't okay, please stop and leave them alone. Just so you have like an intervene when it comes to like something that is kind of like escalating. And then you have distract, which is create a pause that stops violence or allows for intervention. An example can be you accidentally spill something or cause a commotion, pretend to be lost and need directions, or say something. Someone is looking for you. Or you can even see something like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in a long time, just to distract like the abuser from or the situation from kind of like escalating. And then you have delegate, which is consider who might be the best intervene support. So you might be in lunchtime and see an argument between a couple escalating. You might grab the school counselor and say, let's bring it in the students to a private space. So right, bring someone that you feel like you can trust, feel comfortable with, and then that way they can help de-escalate the situation. Then you have delay, which is collect the information or take note to check in someone out in the moment. So you might notice that in a teen couple arguing and you're constant check-ins or isolating from friends, you can bring in the student to have a private conversation. So kind of like just like checking in from like time to time, making sure they're okay. Or if you see like they're having a discussion, maybe kind of like stop for a little bit, see how it goes, and then like have a conversation with the person and see if they need like support in any way. So that way you guys can always find someone that can support them.
Yeah, not only can like youth and teens, learn about techniques for intervention, but I think so can the teachers in the classroom learn about how to intervene when they're seeing something that is not safe for people. So it's also another thing that could be really important is not only train teens to educate other peers, but also bringing this conversation to the adults on school campus can be another protective factor to prevent harm from escalating. So prevention in our schools, I think that really could look really differently, whether that's having signs, whether that's having, signs that say like everyone is welcome here, having pride flags where students feel seen. When we're talking about allyship, I think it's really important to have posters, have community agreements, or create group norms by teens, for teens, so they feel safe and they can explore like, oh, what is something I need safe in this classroom, or what do I need to know that I can speak to my teacher. I think having artwork can be really beautiful because it can make other students feel seen. It can make them feel like they can relate to the teacher or even feel comfortable when they need to go to them for a difficult situation. And then I love RVCs, which is Recognize Violence, Change Cultures artwork. They have really free artwork around prevention that's accessible to anyone that is really interested in that. So I think also just like bringing in artwork that has a positive outlook on relationships, bringing in healthy love, healthy relationships, healthy friendships can be really powerful. And then also the little toilet is for bringing in the conversation for gender neutral bathrooms, gender neutral spaces, just so students feel safe and comfortable when they need to go and they don't feel like they need to choose a space where they might feel really uncomfortable. So that's like another thing that we can do in our schools is really bringing awareness to why gender neutral bathroom and having representation in our classroom through artwork that says everyone is welcome here, or like this is a safe space, and why that's so important.
And then these are just some of the challenges that some of our teens face when it comes to seeking support or just like speaking upon like the situation. For example, we have fear, the abuse that it can get worse. Maybe the abuser is kind of like threatening them that if they say something that they're gonna hurt them in some type of way. We have afraid no one will believe them. They care about their partner and or the relationship. Sometimes they are too scared. Like, what if I tell someone that my partner is doing something to me and they get arrested or they get in trouble? Because they care for that partner, they try to just keep that to themselves. You don't know what resources are available for youth. And I feel like there's a lot of more resources for adults that go through like domestic violence than there is for like some of our youth. And sometimes for that same reason, youth don't really know where to go or who to ask for help for. And then we have self-blaming and then feeling embarrassed and then not aware of physical form of abuse. They probably just know about hitting, slapping, but they don't really know about emotional abuse or cyber abuse or even like stalking. So these are just some of the challenges for our teens.
And then language for handling disclosures. Depending on where where you work or where you're being employed, I'm sure there's different regulations or even what your reporting status looks like. So if you do work with youth, I think it's very important to be clear about your reporting status, reference your employment book if that's something you need to do, and like look at what reporting might look like. That conversation could look like, as we have this conversation, I want to know that I am a mandated reporter, which means if I think you are in danger, I am legally mandated to report abuse in order to keep you safe. You can ask for clarifying questions from a place of curiosity and non-judgmental. Have you talked with anyone else about this? How do you feel about what you just shared? Ask about physical and emotional feeling when unpacking a disclosure. Also, if you are a mandated reporter and maybe you want to find confidential advocates, that's something that we could also offer, is doing that research a little bit beforehand and be able to offer these resources when the time comes, or even just having them even posted up on a wall. Validate, offer resources, and provide clarity. You deserve to be safe. No one deserves to be harmed. There are experts who can help you and have more resources. Do you want me to help you and connect with them? Use words and phrases that offer, invite, and empower a choice. There's no one right to respond to being her. I'm here to support you in you choose to do. Would it be helpful to share some options? What would help you feel safer? So also like not like physically holding the hand, but like, um, joining them on this like disclosure could be really challenging, and being able to acknowledge that is really important, but also joining them on looking for resources like for the next steps, like what does this team want to do, how can we help them and support them, and what can the next steps look like.
These are just some local resources. Kathy works for Center for Community Solutions, so we have that on here. We have Community Resource Center, and they're a 24/7 crisis hotline. This is their number down here. They have your safe place. Their number is also here, which helps all San Diego County. And then the South Bay Community Service, and this is their number here, and then the One Safe Place.
Well, thank y'all for having us, and we just wanted to share a little bit about teen dating. We're going to transition into a little bit of the events that are happening this month. So we're going to share, there is an upcoming event, Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. It's around healthy relationships. It's called Healthy Starts. This is hosted by the South Region Domestic Violence Coalition. Also, if you do not follow the Instagram, you should give it a follow. That's where I kind of find out more about the Domestic Violence Council events. So it's going to be presented by the UC San Diego School of Medicine students. I believe this is hosted by, what was her name? Samantha?
Stephanie.
Stephanie. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And so also if you are on our listserv with the committee, these are things that we also like to share out. So definitely reach out if you have an event that you would like us to share out so other people know about it. And then this is the one that Jackie and I are hosting next week. We are so excited. We're gonna do a teen wellness night. We're gonna have some therapy dogs. We're gonna do slime making. It's gonna be a really interactive day. We're gonna make aromatherapeutic rice bags, some sugar scrubs for the youth, and then do a teen dating game and also raffle off some prizes. Yeah, it should be a great event. It's free. We offer food. It's going to be at One Safe Place North. We're really excited to host this event with them.
And then we have the open art call, which today is the last day to submit any submissions. We do have 7 youth that already submitted. And with that, this is for our logo. In the beginning, we had mentioned that we are revamping our Teen Dating Violence Committee logo. And we are open to all the youth until the rest of the day. And then we're going to have some of our committee members help us vote on this and hopefully have some youth input as well. And then we hope to announce it probably next week. And then I see Karen has a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love what you guys are doing, and we really appreciate it a lot. I just wanted to ask, most of the activities that you do where you invite young people are in North County, and so when will we ever be able to get some of those kind of activities to the schools that are in Central San Diego and even in South? That's one thing I wanted to ask. But I also want to use an example of what happened when I was teaching teenagers. About 5 years ago, after sitting on this council with you guys, I took it back to my church, and I was teaching teens, and it was very interesting because as I was talking about, I just used an example of cell phones and how your boyfriend might snatch your cell phone or et cetera like that, and watching what you're doing, who you're talking to, and that kind of stuff. And the young man, it was a bunch of girls in the class, and it was only one young man in the class. He said, "Well, girls hit boys more than," and I was like, "Wow." So it unfortunately goes both ways. And teens is the most interesting season in life, period. So do you guys see that any balance? Is it mostly girls that are being violated, or do you occasionally run into the guys who will admit it?
I mean, throughout doing presentations in the last year, it can happen to anyone, regardless of gender, regardless of, their sexual orientation as well. It can happen among any relationship. And I think that's why bringing this kind of education into the classroom or in teen spaces is so important, because we need to hear the teens' input. What are they seeing? And also being able to recognize healthy versus unhealthy can be so important, because sometimes it's kind of when these stereotypes kind of come out, and where we can also have a conversation to unpack like really harmful stereotypes of like boys aren't supposed to cry, or like boys are supposed to endure and be tough. So having these conversations can really be so important, because then we get to learn more about the teen perspective, but also really challenging these norms so we can create healthier relationships, whether that's romantic or just among friendships. I think is so important.
Yeah, and we really appreciate your dedication and your commitment to helping change and impact these young lives. So we applaud you.
Thank you. And regarding about the events, yeah, Jackie and I are here in North County, so that's why you do see a lot of our North County events. But we're open to hosting events more in the South or in the area of wherever you are, Karen. But we definitely just like seek support from our council, from our committee members that can maybe help us. Like, we're more familiar with North County, so just like we need that support of like where to go to in San Diego. like who can maybe host us, who are the great contacts to bring to our event, where are the areas that maybe we should focus. That's like probably like what Jackie and I look for when we're working with our committee, is just that input, but also that support from other folks in the community, because we're from here, so it's a little difficult.
Karen, I did just want to add the first flyer that they shared that's on the 24th. That one is in the South. So that one, I know UCSD is the ones presenting, but it is at the Center for Impact with SBCS.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. And then for both, there's raffle, there's food. I know that those are always things that draw participants. And really, just during your presentation, thank you both so much for sharing all of your expertise in this area. I cannot imagine what it's like to be a teen these days with social media. It's hard enough being a teenager. And then I also empathize so much with parents. I have toddlers. I am like, gosh, what's going to be the thing when they're teenagers? But to have to stay current with so many things because of this added layer now of social media and tracking locations and all the things that come with that, and having to be knowledgeable on all of those things. It's a lot. I do want to call out someone who's here with us today. I asked, we have Sarah McIver, who's a sergeant with Chula Vista PD, here in the audience, and I did want to just ask if there's any trends on like the law enforcement side of things that you see specifically when it comes to DV and youth.
I think here, at least for Chula Vista, is all that I can speak for. I was thinking the three things that we see the most, and it's predominantly the females who are the victims. And it's usually for us, like 13, 14 to like 16 seems to be kind of that prime age for the physical abuse, but primarily strangulation, like hair pulling and strangulation. And then also the like forced sex, but not necessarily the violent movie rape that you would think of. It was more of the, hey, let me try and pull your pants down. No, 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 please don't, please don't, please don't. Okay, fine, go ahead. Kind of that coercion type forced sex, are kind of the primary things that we're seeing. And the third thing I would say is the sharing of the photos. So primarily females will get peer pressure, maybe into sending their boyfriend or the guy they're talking to explicit photos of themselves. And then she does something to make him mad. It could be something very trivial, obviously, but then he goes around now, he's sharing it with all of his friends. So those are probably the three primary things that we're seeing. And then I have a question just for Kathy and Jackie, because my detectives are trying to work with our school resource officer unit. Kind of this year, we wanted to make it a priority, what you guys are doing, but kind of bringing it to the schools. Like, what does a healthy relationship look like? Have, I'll call them assemblies, but even to bring parents in and everything. But I was curious, kind of your experience with working with the school. Do you get a lot of pushback, or is there political pressure to not bring those kind of conversations into the school campuses? And it's more after hour stuff that you guys are having to do, or do you have any recommendations of how we can kind of get that ball rolling down here?
Yeah, sure. I definitely can share. I mean, with Center for Community Solutions, so we have a 4-part series that shares about how the content is aligned with California Public Schools standards. And I've noticed actually it's usually the school counselor or like a wellness clerk on campus that is the one to reach out. We usually go out to presentations as requested, which is also why we also share about this. Like, let your schools know about us. We can come and present a 4-part series. But definitely you can reach out to me and see if I can come in and we can do a presentation for a group of teens. I haven't noticed any pushback so far, which I think is really great.
So that's huge. I just know for us, and again, law enforcement, it's a different hat, different
Yeah.
cultural, different perception, different, all that climate, right, that goes on with it. And so I know the school resource officers in broaching the subject with some of the principals, just to kind of get a feel for would they be open to it. I've gotten some pushback like, yeah, no, just more of the political aspect of it, and concern that the parents might be upset of us bringing that into the, so I think if you guys, maybe to use you guys as a go-between, so it isn't the officers, in uniform bringing this in, it's more of just community trying to help the teens and
Yeah,
I,
definitely.
I do want to say that sometimes when we do presentations like at school, it's sometimes optional for youth. I know Kathy's been doing some of them at like one of our local schools here, and she does it during lunchtime. So it's like youth get to decide whether they want to and receive this information. But we do have it's very like much if the youth want it. And I feel like sometimes we do get a lot of youth come like during like after school, and or for example, we have like a training or a workshop at a certain location. That's where you sign up for it. I feel like it's only when youth want it.
I'll definitely reach out to you guys, and if you don't mind, just to kind of brainstorm with you guys how to bring it.
Yeah, that
Okay,
sounds like a great idea.
thank you.
I
And
can
then,
relate, Sarah. I was just going to chime in that we had a 5-year grant in the San Isidro area, and to the end of the grant, the high schools would not allow us to put, probably some of you are familiar with the backdrop that has been a mural at a couple of the opening events for the DV Awareness Month. And that was meant to actually be a permanent mural in the high school there. And for years, they kind of kept saying, yes, we'll put it, but they didn't want it to be there. So unfortunate, because there is still that, hesitance that and bit of denial that this happens to
yeah.
their students. And
we have a couple of comments from the chat. Linda saying, thank you for sharing this. And thank you for sharing the teen dating flyer. I also have a copy in the chat so that I can share it with home visiting nurses and South Bay region. And Andrea says law enforcement and child family well-being can also request forensic interviews where teens can feel safe and share their experience. Chadwick Center can provide advocacy resources and counseling services. Thank you, both of you. That's excellent information.
Yeah, and we'll definitely share out the flyer. Maybe I can share it with Gloria so she can share out to everyone here. One last thing with the committee, we are working towards a teen film festival. This is something that's been in the works since October. Jackie and I actually became co-chairs in October of last year. And with that, we learned through the last co-chair, or the last chair, Allison, that there was interest from the youth that she was working with to host a film festival. So we're currently working on this. We met with some folks throughout the community that maybe want to support us on this, whether that's like nonprofits or like organizations that do, artwork with teens, because that would be like such a great space to kind of collaborate with. And we also reached out to the County Office of Education, currently trying to get it confirmed that we can have this film festival at SDSU. So we're kind of working towards that. But just so you all know, like this is something that we're trying to host for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We're gonna send out a flyer hopefully by the end of this month for call of entries, where teens can submit a short film or a PSA around teen dating, whether that's teen dating or friendships, really kind of exploring teen dynamics and relationships, heartbreak, forgiveness, falling in love or like crushes. So we're really excited to take on this project. Overall, it's really to inspire youth to seek help to a trusted adult or teacher. So that's something that we're working on right now. If you are interested to learn more about what the committee does, feel free to email us. We're always looking for more people to join us.
And then also I did want to add, if you guys are interested for next week to table out our event for our teen wellness, I'll go ahead and put the link on the chat and you guys can sign up to table.
Cool, and I see in the chat, Medulla Art Center might be a good contact. Thank you so much. Yeah, trying to connect with people that maybe, I don't know, that might just help us, and see, or can give us a little guidance. Never hosted a film festival, but we're doing it, so.
That's awesome. Happy to hear that. I did put something in the chat for you two ladies, Jackie and Kathy, but I think it went under Gloria, so Gloria will send that to you for me.
Okay. Good luck. I'll
Thank
go
you.
look.
It's a contact that I know you'll love it. He's mirroring what you guys are doing
Oh,
in it. Yeah. So it'll be a great way for you, another great
yeah.
connection for you ladies.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to remember that the San Diego DV Council is a group of collaborating community agencies, departments, groups. I mean, it takes a village, and it takes a village to make sure that our children are safe, that they're protected, that they're getting the right messaging. If you're out there and you're doing something that, seems like it would be a good connection to this Teen Dating Violence Committee, they do fantastic work. So come join them. We'll send out a follow-up to this event with some of the flyers and some information about the upcoming Teen Dating Violence Committee meeting in case you want to go check it out and bring your talents to the table.
Thank you.
Gloria, if I could just add, I did put the social media accounts in the chat. So there's our Instagram handle and then also Facebook. And just like Kathy and Jackie mentioned, if there's events that you're hosting, teen specific or not, please feel free to share them with us. We are putting out a monthly newsletter on behalf of the DV Council. We can post them on our social media platforms as well. And then just to share a couple of upcoming things this month and early next, we have our faith-based meeting that's coming up at the end of the month, Thursday, February 26th. And Karen is one of our fabulous chairs for the faith-based committee. That's going to be at 9:30 on Zoom. So if you need more information on that, I'll also, or maybe Gloria, one of us can put our DV Council email in the chat. And then I think Kathy, you were the one who said possibly doing some in-person meetings for Teen Dating Violence Council. That is really something that I've been wanting to host more of. In-person connection, I think, is just so important. And, times have changed since COVID. But one way that I thought we could gather just in the domestic violence world and all the service providers who are doing this amazing work is through opportunities for conversation that are combined with a little bit of training, a little bit of learning. So I'm a huge book nerd. I've been in a book club for almost 20 years now. And so that's one thing I will be incorporating also into the council is an article book club, so to speak. And our first one will be on March 4th. I'll try to put the flyer in the chat as well. It's going to be around the trauma that victims experience through family court. So we do have the lead family law attorney from Legal Aid Society who's going to speak. We're also going to do some resource mapping and then just giving tips and tricks on how to support survivors through that experience to minimize as much as possible the trauma that many do experience going through the family court process. So those are kind of some things on the horizon. If you register or RSVP for that meeting, you'll get sent the article to read ahead of time. And if anybody's in a book club, you have to do the reading before you come. So, and that's all I have. I don't know, Gloria, if you wanted to add
Yes, we
anything.
we wanna open this up for your time to let us know what's going on with your agency. If you have an event that's coming up, and this is a great platform to, kind of cast the reach far and wide throughout San Diego County. So just raise your hand in person or, in a little. And we'll look for anybody who wants to let us know of anything that's coming up. I will let you know while people are looking at their agendas and seeing if there's something important they want to share with us. Our next SDDVC, so San Diego Domestic Violence Council meeting is going to be March 17th. And we're going to have a presentation from Cal OAS. Cal OAS is a statewide agency that's going to be providing for us a look at protection orders. So those restraining orders that we all talk about are so important for victims of abuse, and how they can secure and provide safety to victims. They're also going to be giving us some testimonies and shared experiences from people who've received these protection orders and how it's made a difference in their life. We invite you to come and join us. It's same day. February and March this year are just mimicking each other. So it's March the 17th at 1 o'clock. You should be receiving, or you should have received something. Or if not, you'll be receiving it pretty soon. But it's going to be a great time. We have a number of presentations lined up for this year. We'll be having just great learning opportunities. If you feel like there's a topic that we're not covering and you'd like to see it covered, send us an email to the DV Council and let us know what you wish would be covered. And I'm opening it up to anybody who has any updates. Okay, looks
Hi,
great.
I did want to jump in. My name is Roxanne Belmy. I'm with San Diego County Office of Education. When we think about supporting our youth and helping them to be able to make aware and informed decisions about the relationships, we also think about supporting the parents. We have a partnership with Rades Children's Health, where we're offering free webinars. We have a schedule for those. I can drop it into the chat. But those are upcoming soon. We actually have one coming up, I think, tomorrow. But there is live interpretation available for Spanish-speaking participants as well. So again, it's an opportunity to meet with medical professionals around mental health-related issues, so parents can be informed, educated to help support our youth.
That sounds like a great idea, Roxanne. If you'll send us your flyer, we'll be sure to share it with everybody.
I will do so. And where should I send it to?
You can send it to the DV Council, San Diego Domestic Violence Council email that's in the chat.
Perfect. Will do. Thank you.
Yeah. Help us celebrate Teen Dating Violence Month. Go to our Facebook or Instagram or all our social media platforms and join the group of wearing orange or just standing up for teens and healthy relationships. And you have two awesome events coming up next week, the 24th and the 25th in North and South County. So we'll send out the flyers again, but think about joining one of them or telling a teen all about it so they can come and join. I think that's it for me, Analicia, Jackie.
Yes, thank you both again so much for being available and all the work you do through the committee. Their meeting is tomorrow morning, so if you are interested, reach out to us and we can help connect you to get the Zoom link. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great meeting.